yelling for Amy and Tammy while I'm trying to watch.
Oh my God, I was wanting Amy and Tammy back on.
Yes, I put on my 600-pound life, and of course we ordered pizza tonight. Go figure, which I don't do very often. So I'm eating pizza with my daughter, who eats super healthy normally.
Yeah, she does. She totally does.
She's yelling for Amy and Tammy. I'm just like, oh my God.
Oh my God. I love it. I love it when she knows the names of the people like Cody and Robin and Amy.
I know.
Oh, poor Kaya.
She's going to be in therapy many years from now. My mom did a podcast. And now I was subjected to all kinds of different reality shows.
All kinds of different reality shows. That is one way of putting it.
Mm-hmm.
Kinds of reality shows.
It's okay. For every reality show we watch, we do something educational. So balances are out.
Yeah, I like to think that, at least putting out like the Unsolved Mysteries episodes or something, we at least can try to do some good in the world because, our all tens of listeners that we have that can solve these mysteries. No, but yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
one of my friends from college, I actually sent her a link to the podcast tonight.
Oh yeah.
And she's pregnant. I was texting her and I was like, I gotta go. I'm doing recording the podcast. I sent her a link to listen and review it. And she's like, I like this. I like this. I like reality TV. I like crime stuff. And I was like, awesome. Great.
Awesome. Good.
And she's a pharmacist, so she can maybe tell us if we ever need any drug information,
Give us drug information. Yeah.
Shout out to Blair.
Hey, Blair. How are you? Thanks for listening.
Right.
Okay, so while we're waiting for Hanakawa to jump on, she's coming. My Big Fat Gypsy Wedding. Have you watched any of it yet?
I have not.
Okay.
No.
Because I was watching part of an episode and it was one that I remember. It was the one that I sent you. It was one about in England. And there was a lot of stuff that I remember that was very problematic, right? Because like the guys do this thing called grabbing, where they literally grab these girls that they have a crush on, right?
Like grab them where? Like their arms? They just put their hands on them?
They grab them and pull them to kiss them. So they're basically sexually assaulting them, but it's totally cool in their world. Like this is something that the guys do, and it's da, right? Like, and then she ends up dating him. She's going to marry the guy.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So like, I don't know how we would cover it because you can't really it's not really a recap type show like that lends itself well to a recap, but like we could talk about you got this guy, I don't know what angle we would take, but people are like, oh yeah, I love, like watching the shows. I don't know what angles we could take on it, but if you guys have ideas, let us know. But it's like, okay, like this is what's happening, but it's also like there are things that are really problematic about the 13, 14-year-olds, I don't think they're getting married, but like you do have 16-year-olds getting married,
That's weird. But people like that. I mean, they don't like 16-year-olds getting married, but they like the dramatization of
right. So it's like, how would we cover it? Like, do we recap it? Do you just talk about it? Like, how do you recap a show like that that's so visual and so much of it is like them being crazy? How do you cover that on a podcast? What would you guys want to hear about it?
Yeah.
I guess is what we would have to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
That was okay. So that episode was one of the original ones, and it's from way back it's from England, and it's really it's old and stuff. So I mean, God, when I watch stuff from the 90s, I'm horrified at what we thought was okay. That's just totally normal and okay, and da 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 da. And which when you look at it now through the lens of what we know now, that's sexual assault. Why did I think that was okay? To that's how guys are gonna like me, woo, so looking at that, some of the gypsy stuff with like the lens that we have now versus when it was filmed, like yeah, there's stuff that's going to be problematic.
So wait, did the show come out in England first, and then it came?
It was my big fat gypsy wedding, and then they did it in the United States, and that was my big fat American gypsy wedding.
I see. Okay, because I've seen episodes here and there of the American show, but I've never watched it.
Well, I sent you the episode of the English one so that you could see like where it came from, right? And then I'll find like the trashy West Virginia, Maryland ones and send those to you so you can see what the American version is, and it's different. And it's different. And I think covering the American ones makes more sense for a lot of reasons. The least of which is that it's funnier. It's funny, trashy.
Oh, I'm sure.
Did you know that 30 million women are impacted by weakened or thinning hair? If you're among them, know that you're not alone and that there is a solution that you can trust to deliver results. Millions of Americans experience thinning hair. It's more than common. It's actually normal, but it's not openly talked about, especially among us women. Going through it can feel lonely and frustrating, but it's time to change that conversation and join the thousands of women who are already standing up for their strands with Nutrafol. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement, clinically shown to improve your hair growth, thickness, and visible scalp coverage. Nutrafol supports healthy hair growth from within by targeting the 5 root causes of thinning: stress, hormones, environment, nutrition, and metabolism through whole body health. Nutrafol has 3 unique formulas to support women through all stages of life, including postpartum and menopause. Each formula is physician formulated using natural, drug-free, medical-grade ingredients in consistently effective dosages so you get the most reliable results. In a clinical study, 86% of women reported improved hair growth after 6 months. Over 3,000 top doctors and stylists have recommended Nutrafol as an effective and high-quality solution for healthier hair. You can grow thicker, healthier hair and support our show by going to Nutrafol.com and entering the promo code FRAUD to save $15 off your first month's subscription. This is their best offer anywhere, and it's only available to U.S. customers for a limited time. Plus, free shipping on every order. Get $15 off at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code FRAUD. But there are things, that are troubling about the behavior, some of the behaviors, which maybe that's how we talk about it all because, I don't know.
I mean, there's things that are troubling about the serial killers we cover.
Well, yeah, exactly. Oh, here's Santa Paula. Here she is. There she is. Miss Hanakawa.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening. Welcome to Fat Friday. Sorry, that's probably not appropriate to call it that.
We're laughing with them though, not at them.
Yeah, so I called it that because we're going to cover 1,000-Pound Sisters and My 600-Pound Life. So it's, like the shows. And it's
Friday.
It's Friday that we're recording this. So it's like both of those shows are specifically in the title about their weight. So I called it Fat Friday. Now, unfortunately, this is going to come out on a Saturday, but we're recording it Friday night.
Yeah.
So.
Which is a lot.
Thanks for joining us for Fat Friday.
I mean, I got hungry, I'll be honest, watching all this. And so like I said earlier, we got pizza and I feel like I eat the worst foods possible when I watch these shows. And I feel like a lot of people I know do that too.
Yeah. It's funny enough. I actually put the food away. Like, nope, actually.
I think when you watch either way. It depends.
Like when you watch Hoarders, right? And you're just like, you know what? I could vacuum today. Yeah, I definitely could.
I know. Let me clean out this closet over here with this,
Right.
I was watching Hoarders yesterday. And one of the episodes, well, it was on. I wasn't really watching. It was just sort of on in the background. And it was an episode where this woman got her kids taken away by CPS, like on camera, like during the episode.
Oh, wow.
They called CPS and got it. Yeah. It was bad. That was a bad one. She had so
dead
much
animals
trauma.
under everything. You probably are gonna.
Yeah. And they had a dog, and she Dr. Becky was like, yeah, no, we're gonna have to call animal, whatever, humane society or whatever it is. Because she's like, I can't have, this is a living creature. You can't live like this with it.
All right.
So
yeah,
which is a shame, because like she was so traumatized by like all these deaths of her, like
it is early on in the episode when Katrina pulled out her microphone cord. Usually it happens near the end.
Yeah, every time. No, she had lost like several husbands to death. And she felt responsible, and she was really, really traumatized and stuff. So like the dog was like the last thing. She just had her kids taken away. Now she was the dog, and it was really sad. But
she felt like she was the problem. They find their bodies in the rubble.
I don't know. I wasn't paying that much attention. I have seen an episode where they did find a dead cat. Like,
I saw that one where they
behind
found
the couch or something.
Yeah. Well, I saw one where they found a lot of them. Like, it seems to be common in some of them, where you'll find at least dead vermin or something. But it's like,
oh yeah, the mice and rats and stuff everywhere, and
yeah, that show's so sad. There was one where she like was missing a cat, and then they found it
dead,
deceased. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's traumatizing.
And it was sad. Like they hadn't seen it in like 2 years or something. You know, I mean, it was just like it had been there for dead in the couch. It was just like, oh, like I can't. I want to go hug my cats.
I know.
Yeah. Anyway, let's turn to something else much more cheery,
which is season 4 of 1,000 Pound Sisters, episode 4. Icing on the cake.
I like cake. Don't try to swindle me because I like cake.
I bought some Valentine's Day candy for Kaya. Realized she couldn't eat it because it has nuts in it, so I already ate like 4 pieces of it.
Wait, she's allergic to nuts?
No, but because she's 2, so you can't really give them nuts yet, so they could choke.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess there's that.
I subconsciously, I think, knew that and just bought it for myself.
She's like, secretly, I just wanted cake. See some validation, justification.
Happy Valentine's Day to me.
I love me some Valentine's Day candy.
Yeah. Okay, so we're recapping at the beginning of the episode where we see Tammy hanging up on the therapist from last week. We see Chris wanting his skin removal surgery. And at the very end of the last episode, Tammy's apartment was broken into. So that's where we left off going into this episode. And now we see that the thieves have taken pretty much everything out of Tammy's house.
Can we just talk about the fact that this whole scene was a reenactment?
Yes.
That we know because Amy was actually we know from the news reporting of it at the time that Amy was actually the one that found the apartment or the house broken into. So having Amanda and Misty be there to be the ones that find it. Yeah, that's just totally.
Yeah, and then they left to go file a police report, which, let's be honest, if you're a friend or family member's house, you would call 911. I mean, I would. I'd be like,
yeah, you'd call 911 and the cops would come to the house. You don't go to the police department to file a missing or a theft or whatever, a house burglary.
Maybe it's quicker out there.
Yeah, maybe.
It's quicker for you to go to the cops.
And so, yeah, we do know that it's a reenactment, which I'm not surprised.
But yes, continue.
And then they call Amy to tell her that all of Tammy's stuff is gone. And then we see Misty and Amanda talking how they were nervous to tell Tammy because they don't want it to hinder her progress in rehab.
Right.
She's doing pretty well.
Her to get upset and have it set her back. Yeah.
Which seems like a lot of times things go wrong in Tammy's life. She obviously goes back to her bad food eating habits and her weight gain. So
yeah.
They then cut to show Amy and Michael at their house a few days after Tammy's house got robbed. And we learned that Amy doesn't want to go visit Tammy in rehab because she said that Tammy would just bitch her out. And also, I mean, she's 8 months pregnant, so I'm sure she didn't want to make the hike out there.
Yeah.
But
she already, like last episode, she made the, the trek out there and stuff. And she sort of like bridged that, she crossed that bridge. She, okay, we're friends again type of thing. I think she's fine. She doesn't need to go out this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she's made it pretty well known that Tammy takes out her anger on Amy more so than the other siblings. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure she didn't want to deal with it because Lord knows a pregnant woman dealing with emotions and family drama is not very fun, as we all know.
So Amanda and Misty are going to go out there without Amy.
Mm-hmm. And then they show Tammy and Amy video chatting. I think they're making their YouTube channel video.
This, oh my God. There's so many things about this scene. Yeah. We have Tammy on the iPad monitor next to her and they're talking and she's going to do this name reveal. And this is the saddest name reveal ever. Plus it's a sad name. So.
Well, at first when Amy was like decorating the different pieces of paper thingamabobbers, I thought they were going to do one of those photo booths for, you do it at weddings, like you hold up something like a sign that says a word, and I wasn't really paying attention. I had to rewind. And
what the pickle was one of the,
I don't know.
One of them said bitch, and then one of them had the kid's name.
It was actually really well made though. Like she got them laser printed, like or laser cut.
Yeah, you're the only one that noticed that. I had no idea.
It was such quality. I was like, wow, that's really good. I was like, this would have been cute if, she would have fucking
picked a name other than Glenn, the name of a middle-aged man from the 70s. Like,
did you see The Walking Dead?
Glenn's a name, right?
Did you see what happened on The Walking Dead with Glenn?
Glenn was hot.
I never watched The Walking Dead.
Oh my God.
But Glenn was a badass. Glenn, that's a middle-aged man.
He was bludgeoned to death on The Walking Dead, but he was amazing.
But the name, I was telling Baby Step Frauded about it, the name today. I don't remember why we were talking about this, but I mentioned the name. She's like, I've never heard that name. She's like, wait, what? First of all, what's the gender? And I said male. She's like, I think I've heard it for a female, but never for a male. I'm like, because it's a middle-aged man who's born in the 70s. That's the name. That's a full-grown man. You don't have a baby named Glenn.
I think we just don't hear it a lot because I think it's Scottish, actually. So I wouldn't assume that Glenn? We would have a lot of that. Mm-hmm.
I've known Glens, but they're all been born in the 70s.
I know of a Glenn that's my age. I know a Glenn that's a few years older than me, but only a few. I think there's only 3. Yeah. I don't know.
Anyway, but Tammy has her panties in a wad, so
Yeah. They said she's like really... Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
She's just being a little bitch.
I know. She did not want to participate. Nope.
And if Amy just keeps trying. And honestly, if I were Amy, I would just be like, all right, we'll do this another time. I wouldn't keep going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was like pulling, I don't know. Yeah. I think Tammy needs to learn how to say, hey, I'm not in the mood.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that would have hey, I'm not in the mood. Can we reschedule this?
Yeah, exactly. It's not that hard.
I need a bitchercism. Can we schedule for tomorrow?
A bitchercist. A bitchercist.
I was like, did you come out that by yourself?
That was pretty intelligent. I like that. I like that.
I was like, I need a bitcherist too on myself sometimes. Cause
they used to give them back in the day, and then they learned it was just orgasms.
Yeah. They did upset women.
Yeah,
upset women. That's
for hysteria. They just vibrated the hysteria out of them.
Wait, stop.
That's how the dildo was invented.
Women kept coming back going, oh, I think the Francis isn't coming back. I might need that treatment again, doctor.
Wait, is this a real thing?
Yes.
Okay, you need to back up and explain to me. Like I'm 5.
That's how the dildo was invented.
No, okay, so okay, you can't just drop that and go back to Tammy and Amy. You have to stop and explain this to me.
I'll let Hanakawa talk.
I've never heard this before.
Yeah, it was the hysteria. Like they would diagnose women with hysteria, and they would treat it with what they called a pelvic massage, and they would force a woman to orgasm And that made them feel better.
Well, duh. But that's also a little like...
It was like medical, though. And in the sense that they went to a...
Right.
Male
but men were like,
doctor.
wait, women
that
could be
seems a
pleased
little,
too
like,
during sex? This is crazy.
Rapey? I don't know. I mean, that seems a little sexual assaulty to me, but...
They didn't realize it was sexual, though.
I don't think they did either.
No.
I think they thought that they were like...
Who discovered or who thought to pair those two as an orgasm for... I mean, first of all, can we talk about hysteria? Calling women being... she has hysteria. Yeah. Like, that is a whole concept. It's just whatever. But like,
back then, that's just what it was. If you were...
treating that with an orgasm, who put those two together? Did some guy like just decide to like bang his wife?
Yeah, I forgot his name. He's
in the middle of having hysteria.
I forgot his name, but it was a doctor that like, I don't know, pretty much broke his wrist trying to treat women all day.
You know what that reminds me of?
There is a movie for it. You should watch it.
That's
yes.
That reminds me of the oh God, there's a documentary about it. The movement where the sexual ohm people, where they would rub your clit. It was like this whole like sex cult thing.
The one you made me watch a while ago.
Did I make you watch it?
I think so.
Probably.
Was the woman in charge?
Yes.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of that.
Yeah. It's like that. We should cover it.
Cult.
That was so weird. I hated it. It was so weird.
Yeah, I'm like looking up Netflix sex cult documentary. Orgasm Inc. No.
Yes.
The
That's
story
one of them. And then there's another one that I watched
taste.
on it too. But Orgasm Inc. Yeah.
Oh, sounds interesting.
Yeah. But it's like how it turned into like this manipulative cult, like with all this weird, like the practices was like this way of like this whole thing about the way you rub a clit to not necessarily orgasm. It was like this whole other process of mental thing, and you were supposed to do it all the time. And when you were, you had all these people living in like a commune together, and then they would be ordered to have sex with each other, and like you two are fighting with each other, you're holding a resentment towards her, like you have to go sleep with her. That's how you resolve that.
I mean, it's like Love Island, right?
I've never seen Love Island.
I haven't seen Love Island either. But
Too Hot to Handle.
That's totally different.
It's just choice difference.
They don't actually. The Too Hot to Handle's exactly the opposite of that.
I've never seen that either.
Really? Oh, goodness. No. They're supposed to not fuck, but they always do.
They always do. And then they lose money, and, because it's all these people who are really like sexed up, horned up, and then they're told that they can't have sexual contact to win money and stuff. But anyway, we can get back to Amy.
So Amy,
Tammy now. But we digress.
Right. So switching topics, we then move on to seeing Chris with his nephews, Braxton, Nathan, Justin, and Dylan, who are Amanda's sons. They set up an obstacle course for him to run through, which, first of all, I was getting tired watching him because my out of shape ass would have been struggling through this. Okay. They have him run through cones, and then they have him like flip a tire over. And then they have him pull one of the nephews on a pool raft, which looked extremely challenging.
Yeah.
I think it was funny. They said he looked like Richard Simmons, and then he had like the fake abs drawn on the t-shirt.
Drawn on his tank top. Yeah.
With the squirt gun to keep him cool. I was like, well, they're looking out for him, I guess. But I did notice, he was talking about his loose skin and how much that's bothering him. And when he did have the shirt on, I could see his skin like getting in the way of his legs and stuff running. I'm like, oh, this poor guy. I get it. Like, you want to be free of that. And be able to move around more.
The doctor was saying, he's got to lose another 50 pounds, right? And it's hard because he needs to lose a little bit more fat, but at the same time, it's hard to lose the fat because it is getting in the way. So
he needs one of those belly bands they give us after C-sections. I know you didn't have a C-section, but
I did have a C-section.
Oh, you did? That's right. That's right.
But I didn't have a belly band.
Oh, they gave me one of those bad boys. You lock it in and it holds your abs in place.
Oh.
And, so
well,
it's really
back in my day when I gave birth 100 million years ago, they didn't give us those. I just had a pillow that I held against my stomach, against my incision, anytime I had to like move or do anything. So same concept.
Yeah.
But back in the dark ages when we like gave birth in a field behind the barn and the farmhand helped. So
we need to send Chris some Spanx. Maybe that'll help hold it in.
Oh,
some Spanx
the show.
Yeah.
Dude, can you imagine watching him try to get in those?
Oh God, yeah. I feel like every time I put a bra on, sometimes I start sweating. I'm like, oh, I can't imagine like trying to get in Spanx right now.
Oh God, no! You should have seen me trying to get out of my sports bra today. After at the gym, it's like that's the cardio workout that nobody talks about.
Yeah.
They just need to spray on stuff. You spray it on, and then it tightens.
What?
Oh wait, what?
Yeah. Should invent it.
Oh, I was like, wait,
we need spray on application clothing. Come on.
I don't know if my
wow. Okay.
What do we need
so
to test on?
Painted bodies is what Hanako was talking about.
Except for its actual clothing.
Okay.
You got me on a day. I told you.
Told you. You're right. You warned us. You said you were mental, I think.
Yeah, I'm not stable today.
Not stable. That was the word.
Maybe it makes for a good podcast. I don't know.
When we get to my 600-pound life the Larry and Lechon discussion.
No. Focus.
Yep.
Focus.
All
okay.
Right.
So
focus.
We're going back to Misty and Amanda, who are heading to Tammy's rehab to tell her that her house was robbed. And she said, unfortunately, the police don't have any leads on suspects. No shit there. But the sad part was that their grandmother's blanket, her quilt, was taken out of the house. And so that is long gone and
a
family heirloom, I guess you could say.
Well, okay. So they make it sound like, this is sad that they lose this, right? They flash back to the episode where they gave it to Tammy, right?
She cried.
Right. And this is one of Grandma's quilts, blah, 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 blah. When they go to tell her that her house was broken into, they tell her that one of the things that was taken was the blankets, because like all the bedding, all that stuff, and that Grandma's blanket was. Also, she's like, but I can give you another one. You can come over and pick another one. So it sounds like she has like a pile of these blankets. So it's like
Grandma was busy. Grandma was busy.
Which is great. She can replace it, but they make it sound like, oh, this, heirloom and irreplaceable, which that specific one was, and that is sad.
Yeah,
but there are more of those.
That's the good news.
Takes a blanket though.
Yeah, it must have been in the one of the drawers, I guess, of the dresser, probably.
Or they just carted the dresser out. Maybe
they probably use it to cover something else,
to protect the TV they stole.
Yeah,
or put a bunch of stuff. If the bed was made, which it may have been, right? They could throw all like stuff on the bed and then grab the blankets up like a big hobo bag. You know what I'm talking about?
Possibly.
And carry stuff out that way.
Yeah, the cartoon people had it where they had like a little bag on a stick.
Right. Exactly.
Except on a larger, scale.
But a larger version of that, yes.
So then we see Amy sitting on the couch with Gage, running around in circles, looking like he is having a blast. Or as she says, a drunk baby.
He was so cute, though.
He is. He's adorable. And she says she's 8 months pregnant and can go into labor at any time. So she wants to spend a lot of time with Gage before the baby comes, and her attention will be split between her and him and the new baby. And then we see Amy trying to potty train Gage while he's around 20 months old, which I have friends and moms that say, hey, introduce the potty as young as possible just to get him used to it. So I get that.
That's like 1.5, right? That was about the time I at least familiarize them with the concept that you sit on it when you do something.
But see, boys, don't they just like notoriously like get potty trained late?
I've heard developmentally they
like
may take a little
later,
longer.
like most of them are like 3, closer to 3 rather, and maybe the girls are closer to 2 on average. Not all babies.
I don't know. Kaya was
I
doing
mean, some men at 34 still aren't potty trained, so I don't know.
I mean, Kaya,
those ones still haven't cut the umbilical cords, much less a potty.
They haven't figured out that they have a fucking like hose that they can aim. They just had to think for itself.
Yes.
I can't speak because my son had developmental issues other than that, so I like I'm bad meter to measure against.
Oh, compared to
well,
like
mine was just so long ago. Like in the dark ages, it was just different.
But my mom will brag to you that she had me potty trained before I was 2, and that I helped my brother. So who knows? Maybe it just takes more helping hands.
I don't know what my own personal potty training story is, but I know baby Frauded was basically daycare potty trained him. So
I'm just happy to see it. I'm happy to see her doing the effort to do it because a lot of people will just wait and not. So I don't know.
No, it's good.
It was a very good mom moment when I saw it. I was like, oh yeah.
I mean, on that note, there's been little bits, mostly in the last couple of seasons and stuff, but I love it when they show these little parts of Amy that show, because they had a really shitty childhood, like, and their mom is a piece of work and she's kind of trash, and they had this really kind of almost pretty traumatic and pretty sad background, and she just wants better for Gage, and watching her actively do the things, like she wanted to get him a house, so she worked hard to get him a house for him. That's what they want. It's like
she's breaking the cycle.
Seeing her break the cycle, seeing her trying so hard to better the circumstances, despite her own the limitations of education and social or whatever, and socioeconomic, blah 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 blah. She's still managing to, like, okay, I can do better than this duplex. I want a place where we have a good yard where he can run around, and then they show him running around in the yard with the backyard pool and stuff.
Well, and it was even Amy. Her drive is pretty strong. I mean, you could see that she was the one that wanted to make the YouTube video with Tammy, even though Tammy wasn't having it. I mean, she's still motivated to do things, to put that content out, to make money, to do everything. I mean, being 8 months pregnant, trying to make YouTube videos,
to better her station in life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. She's driven.
Yeah, and it's just nice. It's nice to see that.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I digress.
So then we see Amy in the car in a lot of pain, stabbing pain in her lower back and burning pain in the front of her abdomen. She thinks she's going into labor, but if you've seen season 1 of this show, she is pregnant, and
she keeps sending herself to the hospital with gas.
Yeah, she has indigestion, because they did imaging to make sure that it wasn't part of her surgery, like the
her gastric bypass,
right, to make sure her gallbladder was okay, her liver was okay, which it all was, and so it was indigestion.
Yes,
but it's better to be safe than sorry, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. And when you're pregnant and you've got those surgeries, and she was high risk with the back-to-back and all this. Yeah. I mean, there's all these reasons. I just think she keeps going to the hospital.
Yeah, I can imagine, actually, because she had that band. I wonder if indigestion is just a different monster with that, plus being pregnant, plus being heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I can't imagine. All of the above. No. Any of the above, which
yeah. Then we see Tammy with her sisters Misty and Amanda in the rehab center, talking about how great she looks and how much weight she's lost, because it doesn't do it justice seeing her on video chat. Actually seeing her in person, they can see how much weight she's lost. So her weight is 560 pounds, and she is 10 pounds away from her goal to have the surgery. They wanted to take her out of the rehab center, but they couldn't because of her trach and all of her health issues. It would be too risky. And Tammy said she wanted to stay there, which was great, because they said that showed a lot of growth in Tammy. Like, the old Tammy would be like, let's go out, let's do this. But she's being more responsible, and she's saying, hey, it's probably not the best idea for me to go out.
I mean, and I think when I think about it, that's probably, one way to look at it. I viewed it differently. I viewed it as her, like,
fearful or
being scared of, you know, where she's at as her comfort zone, like to have to like take care, well, you know, to take care of her trach and do, you know, oxygen and all that stuff requires steps beyond what she's doing right now, and that's might be fearful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's how I viewed it. But then I'm like, okay, I mean, it kind of makes sense, but I don't know, maybe they could go get pedicures and stuff. I don't know, but that was my take on it. But
yeah. So then we see Amy in the hospital finding, I guess we kind of talked about that. The baby's healthy, yada, yada.
And she just had gas.
And she ate pizza. Okay. So we then see all the ladies in rehab playing games with the residents, which was hilarious because they played a game called Pokino. Never heard of it. Kind of want to play it. Kind of want to look it up. I'm like, I don't know what this is, but Keno, I'm in. Okay. Like Keno and Bingo, I guess. I don't know.
Something like that. They had these chips and they used the prescription medicine bottles to hold the chips.
Oh my God.
Because it was like they fit perfectly in the cylinder. I was like, oh, that's such a rehab thing to do.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm different kind of rehab, but you know.
And then they show them going into the beauty room of the facility. And that is when Amanda tells Amy that her house was robbed. Mm-hmm. Now, I really think that they actually told her before the cameras came. I think this is kind of like, redone. But Tammy 100% looked really,
this is a reenactment.
Yeah. Because Tammy looked upset and then like the first thing she said was, "Is my grandma's blanket there?" So
I know it's like,
oh, okay. Just happened to be, no.
My TV, the rice cooker, what? So more important.
Do I have hot water? Nope. You can't take showers.
Do I still have a fucking house? Like, come on.
My couch, my furniture, my, TV. No, the TV was there on the floor, but grandma's blanket's gone.
Yeah, I would be more mad too if like you waited the whole fucking time to tell me this. Like this should have been like the first thing you told me. I don't know.
Yeah, we played Pokino. Everyone's happy. And
you
like,
should have called me when you found out. Like I would be upset that I wasn't called to be told as soon as you knew. But
which we know that's probably what happened. We just probably called.
Wouldn't the police want to contact the owner of the residence as well?
Yeah,
you would.
If you're going to file a report, I don't know.
I just.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's 18 million things wrong with how they portrayed this, what this was, but there's so much filler in this episode. There's like, whatever. Like I'm just taking it.
But it was cool. So this is the thing too. So the sisters stayed for, I guess, 1 night or 2 nights because they were weighing Tammy before the sisters left and she had lost a couple pounds. She was down to 534. Mm-hmm. Which was her goal weight for surgery, which was pretty cool. And then they asked her if she pooped. Fair question.
Fair question. Yeah, no, I think it was just like, later in the day. And like she had said at the beginning, like this is where she's at right now, but she was weighing in later. I don't know I don't know if we know how long they stayed, but yeah, they did do a weigh-in with her there, with the sisters there. And she not only got to her goal weight, but she surpassed it. So
yeah. And I think it was really emotional when I got emotional when Tammy told Amanda someday she was going to love herself like Amanda loves herself.
Oh,
I was like, oh, that's so...
a little bit of genuine emotion.
Yeah,
get a little.
And I feel like that was the first time that Tammy's kind of opened up to be a little bit vulnerable on the show. She usually closes down and doesn't express her emotions or feelings, and so.
But she wasn't upset about the break-in the way that they expected her to be. She didn't throw fit. And I think that was the because
she knew it.
One of the purposes of that scene, of that reenactment, was to show, let's show how much growth Tammy's had in her, reactions to things. So let's right.
Yeah. That's exactly what it felt like. We're going to stage it and we're going to make you mature about it.
Right. So we can indicate how far you've come. And then when you hit your goal weight, that, it'll all be this good, feel good moment. Look how far Tammy's come.
The only part that made me feel weird was when the sister was like, it's just stuff. Hey, your whole house was robbed, but it's just stuff.
It's just like, it was too soon. Yeah. It was too soon for her
what
to
it was.
say that.
I'm like, that's good to say, but I'm like
later, but like at that immediate moment, like you're immediately discounting her feelings, like whatever reaction and feeling she was having about it by her saying, but it's just stuff. She's immediately cutting off that feeling, discounting it.
Yeah.
Didn't feel that way because it is just stuff. It didn't even give her a chance to like process it and grieve it and figure it out and then get to the point where, okay, it's just stuff, you know?
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of things that I have in my apartment that aren't worth anything monetarily, but
right.
Emotionally, I would be devastated. Right. So just stuff is a very awful thing to say to someone.
Yeah.
So then we see next time on 1,000 Pound Sisters, Chris gardening to help lose more weight faster. And then we also
anything to get yourself moving is good.
Exactly.
He's
and
outside moving, doing stuff.
Like getting your hands dirty, doing earthly things is very good.
Helpful.
Slapping people with spat rolls. He has such a good humor.
I know, he's funny. And then we see Dr. Smith telling Tammy, or talking to Tammy, asking her how much she weighs. Her breaking the news, hey, great, I beat the goal. But then he says he needs a final document from the therapist, which we know Tammy does not like to do therapy.
Which is setting up the next 2 or 3 episodes where she's going to continue to clash with her therapist, and maybe
we need Dr. Paradise. No, we need Dr. Paradise.
Yes, we do need Dr. Paradise. We screamed that the same thing when I was watching it with the girls, with Natasha and Melissa. We were saying that you need Dr. Paradise. You need Dr. Paradise.
Because I feel like, not to say that the therapist she has now is kind of condescending, because we don't see the whole conversation.
Words that I love. No, I hated her from the beginning.
But I feel
wouldn't
like
open up to her either.
Yeah, Tammy needs somebody that's going to be a little bit more gentle, but not condescending. And I feel like Dr. Paradise would be a good fit.
Yeah, he totally would be.
Yeah,
as we see with my 600-pound life person, despite how terrible that woman was, he actually was really good with her. Anyway, we'll get to that.
Which may not have been the best thing, but yes. So now we're into my 600-pound life, season 11, episode 2, Latonya's journey. So Latonya's a 37-year-old female in Shreveport, Louisiana. And at the beginning of the episode, we see her, just like every episode of my 600-pound life, struggling to get out of bed. But in this case, she uses her wheelchair to move around her house. And I feel like in a lot of previous episodes, people are at least attempting to walk to the bathroom. But no, she gets out of her bed in the wheelchair. And then we see her caretaker, who helps her bathe, cooks her meals, while her fiance, Du-Yuan, goes to work. Which I thought it was Dwayne, but it's Du-Yuan.
Yeah, it's spelled like Dwayne would be, but it's pronounced Du-Yuan. Yeah.
Yeah. And her caretaker says that she used to be more independent, but now her legs hurt and she relies entirely on her to cook and take care of her. So when we were all texting each other.
Okay. Yes.
Because
this episode needs a trigger warning, and not for the reasons you would think it needs a trigger warning. It's not like, oh, there's going to be childhood trauma, which is a bingo box, by the way. Childhood trauma. There's all the, this and this and this. There's episodes where people die, like where the woman's father died, and the schizophrenic father died, and all this stuff. And no trigger warnings for that stuff. We need a trigger warning.
The whole show's a trigger warning. If you're going to turn this on, you have opened it up to being triggered in any way.
Right. Yep. But this is, they have to blur things sometimes. I get it. But this. She just wasn't wearing anything on the bottom at all in her top.
Production. So in case you're wondering, because this is a podcast, if you can visualize this in your head, they show an angle of the camera like down at her legs, looking up towards all of her stuff, all of her area. Okay, I'm not going to go into detail, but of course it's censored. And she looks like, I hate to say this, I'm not being mean, but like literally like rotisserie chicken, because her legs are spread eagle. She is spread eagle.
And she has no pants on. I want to set the scene here.
No blankets, no pants, no.
She's sitting on the couch.
It's not a new pose for these people.
No, they always film it like that.
Oh my God, no. They all film them that way.
Spread
but this
eagle?
one was just, yes.
Well, yeah,
one
but
was just
usually they're wearing
lowered.
pants.
Right. Well, I've
Yeah.
never seen it with no pants on.
Well, they could
This
have blurred
woman
out
had no
underwear
pants
too.
on.
Yeah.
They could have thrown a blanket. Where is Tammy's quilt? They could. Somebody needs to throw something on her.
Tammy's quilt.
Okay. And shame on production. That's what I texted you guys because I was like, I know that they need ratings and I know they need to whatever stir the pot. But they did not do that woman justice.
It's bad enough they have to film them shake naked in the shower. Right. Poor production. But I feel like production had to film her entire interview because this is her sitting on the couch interview.
Yes.
That this is so they go back to it all the time, the entirety of the 2-hour episode. How long did they have to film that to get what they got? Those cameramen sit there
probably like
with
8
this
hours.
camera looking up her cooter all fucking day.
Yes. And you have to get I don't know, it's different production companies, but I know on 90 Day, they have to get special approval. Every single set, every single angle for those main interviews has to be approved. So that's where I was very frustrated by Sharp, by the higher ups, even higher than Sharp, depending on if it's a tell-all or whatnot. So everything has to be like a certain way. So to see that they did that to her, I was like, that's not cool. And then the other thing I was going to say was her boyfriend. This is where I was talking about the texting because Hanakawa was like, wait, she got her boyfriend out of prison and that's why he's with her. And I was like, do we need a Love After Lockup crossover or something?
I the 1,000-pound bailiff.
God, this is the crossover we didn't know we needed.
They're gonna do it. But I was like, wait a minute. So you somehow there's a whole lot to rewind, right? It starts with the guy like
there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
Yo, you'll like this chick, she's thick. He's like, oh yeah, I like thick chicks. I'm like, well, this defies thick, but okay. She gets him out of prison. I'm like, was this a setup to use her to get your brother out of prison or like what?
I don't know.
And he's like, I'll do anything for her. I was like, oh my God, that's the fucking problem. Like this lady is fixing her like 25 biscuits.
Oh my God.
Right,
30 fucking waffles, 80 eggs. And she's like, oh, you did a good job eating it. No, that's the problem.
I actually paused it. It was like 6 waffles. I just put a lot of bacon, a sheet tray, it looked like. Eggs, biscuits, grits. And then she asked for juice.
Well, she's gotta swallow it with something.
I know, but I was just like, and then like being a caretaker, I don't know what her job title is. I don't know how much.
Just probably, personal nurse assistant type of thing. So it's like somebody who's like a medical assistant, maybe.
Right. Maybe like a CNA or something. But at what point can she say, I'm not making you this? Like, I'll make you this, but not this. Like,
I think she's getting paid like $8 an hour. Like she's like, it ain't worth it to fight with this woman about that.
And her job isn't to keep her on some kind of diet or anything. I think she's just there to do what she's asked to do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. She's like, you can't pay me enough for that.
Like the moral police in me, if I was working in that situation, I don't know if I could. I know I just would get fired.
You would just get fired and someone else would do it.
Exactly. I'd be like, I cannot cook you 6 eggs. I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't know. Plus eggs are expensive now. I don't even know how she can afford to eat.
You sound like the Beauty and the Beast song right now. Anyways.
Which song is that?
I don't know. It was like the intro song with the lady was saying she needs 6 eggs and the guy's like, that's expensive.
I didn't even realize that was in
Oh my God.
Now I got to go back and watch it.
I used to sing musicals. That's the only reason I know. But I'm just like, what the fuck?
That's amazing.
I know.
So you're a singer.
Yeah. In the closet. Ooh. I'm a closet singer.
Why didn't we have her on our Christmas song? Why are you gonna make me sing?
Because it's more entertaining.
I think she was busy that day. She wasn't recording with us that day.
Hetero Life Mate didn't even give me like auto-tune or whatever. I didn't sound like T-Pain or nothing.
I think you did a great job, T-Pain. Yeah, but I mean, her caretaker's gonna do what she's hired to do, and that's just to make sure she doesn't fall and does stuff for her. At first, I thought it was like her grandma or her boyfriend's mom, but she was being so freaking polite to her. That's
it's somebody that she, that's like,
and she was in Scrubs.
Yeah, it's like a personal care assistant.
Yeah, but she was so nice to her. Like usually, some of these people are just really rude and like, angry, but she was very gracious and thank you. And can I please have this and that? And
and let's be honest, she looked one step away from retirement. Like AARP is definitely hitting her up. Like she's
like, I need a wheelie cart or something. Like, like everything needs to wheel over there. She's
okay. So on a more serious note, now we go to learn a little bit about Latonya's family history.
She says childhood trauma.
Right. Her mom was a stay-at-home mom. Her dad was the breadwinner. She goes on to say they were religious. And at 12 years old, her mom died very suddenly and unexpectedly. They said she had
the deceased brother, though. Oh, she has a deceased brother as well.
Mm-hmm. And she said that her mom had an asthma attack and went to the hospital, but then they later found out she died of a heart attack, I guess, because they said two different things. God. Yeah. And the traumatic part was she went to the hospital at 12 years old and was trying to wake her mom up and couldn't.
Can you imagine the trauma that would?
Yeah.
Sad.
That's hard. Yeah. I mean, when you watch the show and you get to the point where they're like, why I'm overweight, and you're like, who died? Who hurt you? Or who ignored you? It's like the common factors for a lot of it. So it's like you're always prepared to hear what happened,
Right. Mm-hmm. That's why we have childhood trauma as a box in bingo.
Yeah.
It's a square. It's a bingo square.
Is that a free space or is that
no, the middle? The free space in our Dr. Now bingo is, hi, how y'all doing?
Oh my God.
How y'all doing?
I love Dr. Now.
But I will say also this episode was so full of so much stuff that I had bingo before the episode was halfway over, and I never win. I never ever even win, much less get it halfway through the episode.
Oh my goodness.
So, and then I was like, it was, I think at this point where I had already messaged you, Lexi, messaged you guys. I was like, oh my God, you guys have to watch this.
You sent me a screenshot. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. I was like, what am I getting into? What am I getting into? I didn't have my glasses on, so I thought you were sending me pictures of the freaking lechon thing from 90 Day Again. I was like, what are you sending? Oh, glasses come on. I'm like, oh, shit.
The lechon conversation. You're like, it looks like lechon. I bet Larry would eat it. And I fucking died. Because you said, I bet Larry would eat it. Oh my God. So Larry from 90 Day Fiance, couple billion seasons ago, he was dating Jenny from the Philippines and he wouldn't eat the lechon, and he cashed out his 401k to go fly there to see her. He worked at McDonald's. That guy wouldn't eat the lechon.
They're still together.
Are they?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, they were living in a 55 and up trailer park.
But it's quiet.
I don't know, those old people. Man, my mother-in-law, they winter in Florida at one of these places, right? It is like it's like a trailer park, and the pictures and the stories, they're crazy, man. Those Florida old people are crazy.
They just have a lot of time on their hands.
They have a lot of energy too.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's in the water.
Goals.
Going back to her 18 biscuits and stuff that looked like super tiny in her hands, she had these platters. Like each food item was on a platter, not a plate. She, it looked like, I don't know,
catering.
Like the chargers that you put the plate on.
Yeah, they're serving platters. They're serving platters. And she's like, oh, I don't want, my fiance doesn't need to cook, because she sounds like, she's a control freak. She's got to cook her. If she has to, somebody else cooks her food, she can't
He's
control.
Probably going to make her the prison version of it. I wouldn't want that either.
Although
I don't know. Sometimes those guys have some pretty good recipes.
They're so creative.
The cheesecake one, I was like, wait a minute. Yeah.
ramen
and cream cheese.
Honey bun and a pickle in a bag, man.
Oh my God.
Oh. So yeah, and now we talk about her turning to food for comfort after the pickle and the ramen bag. And
bet Larry would eat it.
You're right. Do you know what really pissed me off was when she said her father moved away from her 3 months after her mom died with a lady friend of her mom's who she didn't like. Her father abandoned her at
more
3
trauma.
months.
More trauma.
That's
she had
crazy.
a deceased brother. Her mom dies, and then her dad does this. So she had like
and throughout this,
trifecta.
yeah, we don't know. I'm assuming her father is still alive, but when Dr. Paradise told her to write the letter, he didn't say to him or whatever. So I don't know if he's alive or dead or if they just aren't talking. I don't know. But
I guess in this context, it probably doesn't matter.
Yeah, because you're not giving the letter to
right.
him.
Right. Just to So then she said she's been on her own since she was 15 years old, and that her dad signed a lease for her to be in a place to live, which I thought was crazy. But she said that her dad wasn't there for her when she needed him the most. So I got a little teary-eyed.
Yeah.
Okay, so then shocking news. She said a few years back, she actually went to see Dr. Now, but that he didn't take her seriously. Okay.
I wonder why.
Why. Spoiler alert.
So she wants to go back and see him again. And I don't know how many people have done this show and actually seen him in the past. I think she's the first one that I know of, but it's been many years since I've watched the show. So I found that very interesting. Because obviously they never showed her going to Dr. Now the first time. This is the first time on her on the show.
Yeah.
And then were you guys surprised that she got into the van and drove herself, that she could fit and drive?
We were like, oh my God, she drives.
Angry. I was angry.
Why were you angry?
Why is she the one driving? What the fuck? She was so crammed in there. Like if she cops, she'd blow the horn. It's like, I don't know. It just seemed uncomfortable. Like both the guys sitting in the back. Well, you know what? Yeah. Maybe they couldn't drive.
Oh, maybe. Did they drive?
Was this when they were driving to the grocery store?
Yeah.
He just got out of jail. Can he drive?
Oh yeah. See, this is what I think ultimately, like because later when she's having all this pain or whatever, like they don't even switch. They don't even take shifts with driving. So it's possible he doesn't have a license. And
that's what I'm kind of thinking. Yeah.
It would not be an unusual thing. We should do
she looked like she carried on well driving. It was just usually they have bigger vehicles.
Yeah.
Where they sit on the back of the van or the U-Haul or whatever.
Well, it's better than having her roll in the fucking trunk. So I guess
like Tammy, how they put her in the back seat.
Yes, that kills me. I'm like, that's so dangerous.
That's a square on bingo. Sitting on the floor of a van truck.
Oh my God.
That's one of the squares.
And one of the I've seen your squares. The CPAP machine was one, which I'm laughing at because I'm actually going to get a CPAP.
You're waiting on your CPAP
right,
machine.
I have to go in 2 weeks. Yeah, long story. But I'm like, oh, that's hilarious. And we didn't.
It was always spot the CPAP machine and spot the potty is one of them.
I feel like I need this bingo card.
I know, me too. Like, I need to play too.
It's the bingo that I play with Natasha and
I just want it for funsies.
And Melissa. I'll email them to you, but Melissa made these ones and they're hilarious, and we updated them this season, and then we used them for like the first episode of the season, and it was a completely not one like this, so we didn't get most of these things at all. And so we're like, well, let's not change the squares yet. Let's see what the season progresses, because they probably just did a feel good episode for the first one to draw you in, and then of course, because this episode is complete trash, and I got bingo more like less than halfway through the show. But we have moving into one of production's apartments, because when they move to Houston, like they're always going to the same apartment complex, almost always, right? So it's like production clearly works with them for housing on that. Laying in the back of a van / U-Haul. Weight gain at a follow-up appointment.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's a good one.
Lymphodemas. Getting fast food drive-through on the way to Houston.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Child forced to care for a parent.
Oh, that's sad. Yeah, but also a good one.
Grippy socks.
The hospital socks?
The socks with the little grippies on the bottom.
Yeah, that you do it. You wear it at hospitals so you don't slip and fall. Okay.
Yeah.
Aren't they're color coded, right? Yellow for
they're always colored.
Yep. Red, fall.
Yellow grippy socks. A quote from Dr. Now. I'm proud of you for that. I'm proud of you for that. Caught on camera cheating on the diet, which we had in this episode.
Oh God, yeah.
because she was having 18 pieces of fried fish just for the taste of it or something. I don't know what she was doing. Rouge nurse. We used to call her the frowny nurse, but we've seen her smile. The last episode smiled. The nurse, the old white lady
that opens the door.
That opens the door, and she's got all that really bad makeup on.
The old white lady.
I laugh because I was watching it today, and my boyfriend, is this woman ever happy?
Yeah, the last week's episode, the guy made her laugh and smile.
Maybe she's just tired of
commenting.
She's just tired of calling out their name, and it's an empty room. And doing it 5 times. I'm like, who are they calling? You're the only 2 in the room.
I know.
It must be like a medical procedure to just double check that it's them. Oh my God.
I don't know how this happened. I'm following the diet.
Mm-hmm.
You always get that. A copy of the book, The Scale Doesn't Lie, People Do. Just the book he always gives her.
I didn't know that was the name of the book.
Yeah. Hi, how y'all doing? A shower scene. A premature ask for skin removal surgery. Because they always do. They're like, I've lost 13 pounds. Okay, let's talk skin removal.
Then Dr. Now's like, that's all fat. All that fat. Fat.
A sabotaging enabler.
Every episode.
Hospitalized to be put on a controlled diet.
I'm afraid I can't do that for you.
My Siri just said, I'm afraid I can't do that for you. And it's on Do Not Disturb and silent. What did you just say? And why did it come on?
Put in the hospital on a controlled diet.
Maybe
she said she can't do that.
My spirit guides are telling me to stop eating the pizza.
We have 600-pound ghost here now. I'm sorry.
Did you guys hear that?
You're gonna have gas so bad, you're gonna call me to take you to the ER, aren't you?
No.
Because of your pizza.
My gosh.
Wow.
What the fuck? That's a sign. It's a sign.
It is a sign. I'm gonna seriously, it's on here. Let me look. You guys have Apple Watch.
I heard it.
I know, but it's on Do Not Disturb and silent.
Yeah.
And sleep. All three.
She wanted to get on the conversation.
There is a ghost here, but okay, it's neither here nor there. Okay, sorry.
You won't be hospitalized, put on a controlled diet. Siri's not going to do that for you.
Well, I'm waiting for it to tell me when I get my CPAP. Come on, ghost. Forget the diet.
Speaking of CPAPs, spotting the CPAP machine is one of our squares.
Mm-hmm.
Holes in the clothing. Now, this week we had some epic holes in the clothing because she had these
butt crack
rips down the front of her. The few scenes where she was wearing pants, when she had to go out in public, there was this giant rip down the front, and it got worse later in the episode.
Oh no!
I'm like, because her cooter's eating through her pants. That's why she didn't wear pants in the interview, because her cooter ate through them already.
She's like, it's as hungry as I am. Easy access. I don't know.
Larry would eat it.
Oh my God, is that going to be the title of the show?
Oh my God.
I'm gonna message her on Facebook and send her some pants.
Okay.
I'm gonna Amazon her some pants.
An epic fall.
Oh, that happens. Yeah,
we get a lot of good falls. Falling out of a cab, falling off the back of a golf cart, Steve Santi. Getting approved for surgery. A filthy and or hoarded house. Because some of them, a lot of them have these just really bad trailers.
It seems like when they don't have caretakers or their caretakers their kid, you end up with a lot of that craziness.
Yeah. Spot the potty. Which is you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Like the porta commode. Yeah. Childhood trauma and Dr. Paradise. So those are our squares. And yeah. So anyway.
Those are good.
Yeah, thank you. We had fun. Oh yeah, she ate the entire plate of full of fried fish just for the taste. Just going back to where we were in the episode. Sorry.
Oh no, it's all good. So now we see her getting ready to go visit Dr. Now. And she says he's approximately 4.5 hours away. At Dr. Now's office, she weighs in at 632 pounds. And she's hurting from the 30 seconds she has to be up and on the scale. She's like, it hurts, it hurts. So we know she's not walking around at all at home.
Mm-hmm.
So Dr. Now asks her, well, why are you here? Because nothing has changed in 5 years. And she goes on to say, well, I have a great support system now and a great fiance, but she doesn't really.
Who incidentally actually comes out of this episode looking like a good guy. Like, these enablers and fiancés aren't always the greatest people, but this guy actually like seemed like a halfway decent guy.
Yeah, it was hard to read. It's like he seemed very appreciative, like you said, and nice.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't mean. He didn't seem like he was a feeder.
Right.
No, it was just kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But they didn't really show him cooking for her.
Because she wouldn't let him.
Yeah. And she seems to be kind of bossy too. She says what she wants and she kind of gets an attitude with him a few times that I noticed. But he seems like he was nice to her and everything.
Yeah.
And he did say she needs to move around more at one point.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So she then goes on to tell Dr. Now she's confused about what diets to do. And she goes on about all the different diets. And he goes, don't be confused. Just eat less. Just eat less. He says she has enough saved up for 4 years in her body. Like,
because she's like, oh yeah, I don't, what does she say? She says that she doesn't eat a lot of food.
They all say
and then
that.
he left.
Yeah.
He left.
Yeah. I only eat once. It's like, but everything at once is the problem.
Yeah. And Dr. Now says she should lose.
The doctor told me if I don't eat, my metabolism gets high or low or something. Like, what? What was that? And then she says to him, like, oh, you're acting like I eat a lot.
He's just like,
you're 700 pounds. Yes, you eat a lot.
I wish you guys could see my face. I'm just like, Dr. Now's expression.
I know.
What?
He's dumbfounded. He's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And he says she should lose between 60 to 70 pounds a month on the diet that he wants to give her, I guess. So then he gets PT for her. So there we see her in her bed working with a physical therapist. And she seems to be in good spirits, listening to them. But then she says she works up a hunger. And that's when we get to the fried fish and french fries. So.
Works up a hunger doing this.
Yep.
Oh.
And so then she goes back in to see Dr. Now in month 2.
Oh, but the physical therapist was like, I know she's not doing this stuff when I'm not here.
Right.
Like, don't try to tell me that she is.
Yep. And of course, Dr. Now said she should lose about 60 pounds. And her weight in month 2 is 636. So she's gained 4 pounds.
Boom.
Yeah.
Check that box on the bingo square.
And at that moment, when she realizes she gained 4 pounds and has to face Dr. Now, is when she says, I think I have a blood clot because I'm in pain. I think the blood clot was definitely used as an excuse.
Oh, totally.
Twice.
Yeah.
And
well, you knew when she was saying that she was in pain just getting onto the scale that first time, right? You knew when she said that, I'm like, oh, she's going to be one of those, right? As Dr. Now calls out later in the episode, you know, you're using this pain as a excuse, as a cover, for you just not wanting to do this stuff or whatever.
He's like, you're 600 pounds. Of course you're going to be in pain.
Yeah.
Like, duh. Which I'm at the heaviest I've ever been in my entire life, and I'm in pain. So I get it, but not really a lot of pain, but enough pain to know that whatever's creating the things in my body are due to my own weight gain. You know,
but there are things that you can do, right?
Exactly.
You know, that's why his exercises in his book and things are for people who can do them in bed. And, you know, there's all kinds of things. The physical therapist is coming to your house and showing you these things. And, you know, you're just not doing them because you don't want to.
Yeah.
This woman, spoiler alert, gains weight at each subsequent appointment instead of losing weight. She keeps gaining.
Yeah, she keeps getting those tastes, man. Like,
I know.
Yeah. And then we see her meeting with Dr. Paradise. And she says she wants to know why it was so easy for her father to walk away. So Dr. Paradise says she needs to face her past, which is what every single person that's in this position needs to do.
Yeah.
So she's back from Houston for a week, and she says she has to cut back on her food intake. So she decided to do some journaling, which I'm like, okay, well, maybe we're going in the right direction now.
Right.
She saw Dr. Paradise.
We saw her open up with Dr. Paradise. He did a really good job. Like she seemed receptive to therapy.
So I had high hopes.
And then no.
Nope. She goes in for her 3-month checkup. And again, she says she has bad leg pain. That's so bad. She feels as though she's going to pass out. So they're in the hospital. Yeah. They're in the hospital now with Dr. Now. And she's like, look at my swelling in my legs and ankles. And again, he's like, well, you're up to 642 pounds now. So this is due to your weight gain. But finally, Dr. Now is like, okay, we got to keep her in here. We're going to keep her in the hospital.
We got to check for
in a controlled environment to get her to lose some weight and to create some sort of momentum.
Which Siri's not going to do for you.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen so many episodes in the past of, family members bringing in food, and we don't see that from her fiance because she ends up losing weight in the hospital.
Yeah.
So, because you know how many times we've seen that people stay the same weight or gain weight while they're in the hospital. So she's on a controlled diet, which she absolutely hates the food. She argues with the dietitians, calling it dog food.
She's like, oh yeah, I don't eat this. I don't eat this. Yeah. I don't eat this.
Super picky.
You didn't eat that. You're going to have to now. Like you have to change the way you eat, you know?
Yep. So she's arguing with PT, saying her body hurts too much to work out.
And but she's not eating the dog food or whatever.
Right.
Meat
after
or something.
2 weeks of being on the controlled diet, she's at 594 pounds, which I think was like a 40-pound
like
weight loss
or something pound
which
loss.
Is exactly what Dr. Now was saying. In a month, you should lose between like 60 to 70, maybe 80 pounds. She's right on track on the controlled diet. So, which I think it was funny. She's talking about how she doesn't eat beans. And Kaya eats every bean, edamame, chickpeas, lentils, everything. Well, lentils aren't beans, but whatever. She eats everything. And like people give their kids like chips and stuff to snack on. I give Kaya literally beans. She will eat black beans. Yeah.
Yeah.
She loves it. It's I'm like, okay, it's a good carb, it's protein, like but she's like,
they are good protein. Black beans, great protein, right? Right? Those are good protein in black beans.
Yeah. I mean, I was a vegan. So like before, I mean, I would eat that for protein for sure.
I'm always trying to get more protein in. So
yeah. And you know what? I'm like, how can you hate beans? You can do everything with beans. You can season them. There's so much, but she's in the hospital, so it's not good enough for her. But then I was laughing because she was like, the bed is uncomfortable. It's cold. And he's like, you're not in a hotel. You're in a hospital. Yeah. But I read on a
controlled diet where you refuse to eat the food and
this is not the White Lotus, but you still haven't watched that show.
No,
but I was laughing because someone on Reddit was like, well, our billing system and our hospital, just the whole healthcare in America is crazy. She's like, she's paying more. Well, the state, whoever she's on, if she's on, state insurance, is paying way more than you would be if you went to a resort by being in the hospital for that long.
For the paying for those meals that you're not eating.
Right. Like a Band-Aid's like $20 in the hospital, probably. Right. So
here's a plate of beans.
Some fucking premium ass beans. Eat them.
Yeah.
Premium ass beans.
Oh my God. And then Dr. Now says her echo shows in her fourth chamber of her heart is overstrained. It's overstrained due to her weight. No shocker there.
No shit. Yeah.
Right. So what do we think happens, everyone? She gets out of the hospital and we see her playing with her goddaughter outside. Well, I shouldn't say playing, more like sitting in a wheelchair watching her goddaughter play. And Virgie, the caretaker, is outside trying to work with her to move around more and whatnot.
And she doesn't normally do any of this stuff. This is just the one time for filming, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I have, again, high hopes. I'm like, okay, great. She's out. She's saying she's working out all day.
No, she's not.
I know, but I had hopes. I was optimistic. Fast forward, we're in month 8. She goes back to see Dr. Now with her fiance. So she was at 594 at the hospital, and Dr. Now wanted her to lose another 60 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
What was her weigh-in When she went to Dr. Now's, it was $5.99. So she gained 5 pounds from getting out of the hospital.
Yeah.
And of course,
All the weight that she
says,
lost in the hospital, not eating the beans and that kind of meat, which is AKA meat that's not fried.
yeah. And she says, it doesn't make any sense. It can't be right.
The scale is broken.
Mhm.
The scale is lying. No, the scale doesn't lie. People
I
do.
didn't poop.
Yeah.
There's so much.
Which I will say, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but when I go to the doctor, I'm always 5 pounds heavier at the doctor's scale than my own personal scale.
The scales are always calibrated differently.
Yeah, for sure.
Plus, I always tell people if you weigh yourself in the morning, you're
Mhm.
usually a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
Yep.
After your first morning pee.
Before you
No,
take
it just has to do with the fluid where it is in your body, right?
Before you take in all of
my morning meds and
fluids and
yep, all that.
yeah. So this was an unsuccessful 600-pound life story. So I decided to check her out on Reddit, and I started going down that rabbit hole while trying to type this up. And I saw her Facebook. It says that she's a hairstylist and she's opening up her own salon. So that got me thinking, like, how is she going to stand? I mean, Lauren's you're on your feet all day as a hairstylist. So
you just wheel around them.
I guess you just put the seat
She's
really
not
low.
actually doing these things.
No, she really is. Like, the salon is opening up. Apparently. Yeah.
No, I refuse to believe it. They always just say this.
Her husband, and now the fiance is now her husband, and he was tagging the salon. Now I didn't go all the way down to those links, but yeah. So of course she goes on to put on a Facebook a big profile status saying, "Don't believe everything you see on TV." The usual stuff, which I do agree with some of that. But let's see, what does it say? People are praying for her. She's basically saying, don't be negative on my profile. Yada, yada. Only God can judge me.
It's always that. It's always only God can judge me. I know what I'm doing. I know how far I've come. And seen as or in a park. It's always that way. Here, they couldn't get her to a park, so they just went outside the house.
I'm about to text you guys. Oh, that was aggressive. Sorry. And loud.
What?
I just hit the microphone and it was really loud. I didn't mean to blow your ears out.
Punching us like that.
I know, right? My bad.
Abuse.
But it was funny. I was like, maybe I should just message her and see if she'll come on the podcast.
I can imagine, man. They're not usually very happy after their show.
I wouldn't be.
And it's funny how many like public lawsuits are out there if people still apply to be on.
Oh, I was talking.
It always gets me.
You sign your life away with those agreements.
I have actually read most of those lawsuits. The public paperwork in Texas on them. I've read many, many of them. And I actually have a summary of it somewhere. But they most of them are for like mental anguish caused by exploiting, which there could be some truth in that, although the contracts are pretty, I'm sure are pretty, we're gonna make you look stupid.
Yeah.
And you sign away these things for special riders to be naked and all this stuff, but there was some about the not paying the medical associated with it. And it's hard to know what all the details that could be. What is included in the contract, what did they agree to, what do you try to say that they're not paying for? That could go either way. I have no idea if they are or aren't paying what they're supposed to pay, because I have to see the contracts, and those are not available publicly. So there's a lot of that kind of thing. And it's like the same attorney is handling them all. So they're all like, it's standard, what we call boilerplate language, and okay, we're going to do emotional distress. We're going to do financial, and you just pull and cut and paste that language of, okay, we're doing these on this one. We're doing this. This person only has these things, whatever. And then they fill them in. So I don't know what the latest is. That was a couple of years ago that I read those. So
interesting.
Although I can't share my contract or
No,
talk
you
about
cannot.
it.
I mean, I feel like they would
cannot.
get the short end of the stick, right? Because like in 90 days, they don't pay for their airfare and all that shit of the visa. So it's kind of like they're there just to document this journey that you're going on. They may get you like the connections, so they're not going to pay for it.
Well, I always assume that there's some the surgeries included. Like they're not going to make you pay for the surgery. Like Dr. Now's time. Like you may have to pay these other fees. A lot of them are on like Medicaid and disability and things like that.
So they don't need the show to pay for them. I mean, they're on disability.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if
the
the insurance covers it, because Dr. Now is going to make sure that it's medically necessary.
Right. Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure, he donates his time or, cut rate, it's not, they're not being charged full price for all of this stuff. And they probably, like we talk about, like the production apartments, right? There's probably an offset, or we can get you in here. They have a deal with the apartment complex or something, and like corporate apartments. We have these, and when you're in town, you can get these. Like we'll take whatever your payment, whatever your Section 8 housing amount is, or something like that. We'll give you this kind of allowance for your housing, because the guys last week, they freaking bought a house because they were going to like live there and then flip it and then sell. They didn't move into the productions apartments, and this woman only lived 4 hours away, so she didn't have to move there either. But when they do move there, so many of them will move into these same apartments. So I've always assumed that part of these contracts with the people that are going to get the surgery and stuff is, a lot of that stuff is included. But
they definitely want to make a TV show, so they're going to do whatever they need to do to make that happen. And if that means trying to figure out how to support
Dr. Now's salary from TLC probably more than offsets whatever losses he may have from doing.
I don't think there's any losses on his end.
Exactly. And then, like, as far as like, if you're asserting, they didn't pay what they said they were going to pay, it depends what they said they were going to pay and what you're claiming is related. Because say that we're going to pay these very specific things, like you're not going to be responsible for any of your treatment at the hospital, but you are responsible for, or your therapy, but you will be responsible for, if you choose to have skin removal from a different doctor, like you're going to be responsible for that. So say the contract says that, and they go and get their skin removal from another doctor and then try to have TLC pay for it. Oh, you're supposed to pay for my skin, my skin removal. It's related to the surgery. Well, no, the contract specifically says only if Dr. Now does it. If you go outside, then you have to pay, I have no idea, but I'm just throwing out possibilities.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
That's what I know. That's it. That's all I know.
Interesting.
No idea.
Be interesting to find out. Dive into it, but I don't know. The 600-pound people, every show except for like 90 Day usually keeps their fucking mouth shut.
The what?
Keeps their mouth shut, so you can't even get like info from them.
Yeah, they don't leak.
Sure, you don't want to talk? They're like, no.
Nope, they do not leak.
Like, damn, you must actually be getting paid. Fuck.
And, they're on one episode, maybe a follow-up, whereas...
A whole season, yeah.
Yeah, where we can see
accumulated,
being used, abused, thrown away, and... yeah.
Anyway. So... so that's how that episode ends. He fires her. Basically said, you're not in the program anymore, and that's it.
Stop coming back.
Stop.
And from what it looks like on her social media, she says she's lost some weight, but she doesn't go into detail. So I'm assuming she really hasn't.
I feel
it's hard to tell when they self-report it. You're like, okay. Sure thing.
Just like she self-reported that she doesn't cheat on the diet and she doesn't eat very much food, even though we saw platters and platters of food in front of her. Like, we legitimately saw platters of food. And she's like, I don't eat that much.
A lot of people are in denial for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm familiar with that particular.
We've all been there in somewhere, right?
Yeah,
of course.
It's not that bad. And you look back at the pile of fucking shit. You're like, okay, maybe it's one Amazon box a night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, maybe that guy was kind of a douchebag.
You're like, the Amazon guy knows you by name and brings you your coffee order in the morning. Like, okay, don't judge me, okay? I need it.
It's a need, not a want.
All right.
I'm yawning. Okay, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Lexi, for taking us through all of Fat Friday.
Yes, I felt so guided. I did.
Oh.
I felt so guided. Thank you.
You're very welcome, ladies. Very welcome.
Thank you. And thanks for tuning in. We will talk to you next time.